Hello everyone, today in this video we will fight against the atmosphere of our world around us, and this time we will consider a very interesting phenomenon that is collapse of British society, Britishness and Great Britain. Not economy wise I would say, but culturally and identity wise. We see it last uh, approximately circa 20 years. We see gradual, but it seems irreversible collapse of Britishness and British society. One of the last manifestations of this collapse was the mm, let's say having a prime minister who was not elected by popular vote, by some intrigues in the party that is still called conservative, but since David Cameron has nothing to do with conservatism. It was the election of Mr. Sunak, who actually is no one more than another person making his business on so-called public money, so money of the British citizens, who had no loyalty with British state, and even his wife didn't have British citizenship, only Indian one. And we know this was a very open manifestation of this collapse. Another manifestation is that the same pseudo-conservative party now elected the lady of black African origin as its leader. It's quite surprising because I do not see any great competence of this person, and I do not see any features that would make her a leader of this party different than her origin. So it means that so-called conservative party in UK adopted already all features of their theoretically political opponent, leftist Labour Party. So there is nothing to choose. And the UK independent movement by Nigel Farage and similar movements still do not have a huge popular support to change something. And we also see a fall of British demography, British proud of being British and so on. These things are really disappearing. With time, they are being eradicated. We see, instead of this, such leftist initiative like Black History Month, or even other initiatives falsifying openly British history, identity, and so on. So we observe complete cultural collapse of UK. Of course, I'm not crying as a person coming from the region of the world that was always used and abused even now during Russia-Ukraine conflict, is abusing the nations from my region, and my nation was betrayed so many times by British geopolitics. I'm even happy that such things are happening. The only thing what makes me surprised is the pace of British degeneration and collapse that is happening now. But okay, for all of the things British did bad, they also did a lot of good things, but especially 20th century, it was a complete lack of trust from British side, and lack of, I would say, even integrity in their geopolitics. So now they are paying for it this way or the other. So to sum up, the pace how Britain is collapsing surprises me. But I'm happy that it's happening, because this is really a geopolitical parasite, really geopolitical villain that caused many, many troubles. In contrast to modern UK, in France, we are experiencing similar problems with similar social phenomena, very painful and very anti-culture and anti-social actions. But still, in France, in contrast to UK, we have very strong patriotic and conservative environments that cannot still get the power only because of stupid electoral system and the system that was designed in 1980s by Mr. Mitterrand and his people not to allow National Front or similar parties to get power so easily. But these environments, these circles are still very strong, and they have huge intellectual background for their activity created in the first half of 20th century by the intellectuals mainly coming from Action Française. Here, of course, we have the titan of all conservative brains, Mr. Charles Maurras, who adapted the idea of nationalism into the right side of politics. And we have also other activists like Maurice Barrès and many others. Really great thinkers, historians, scholars, scientists. I have to also mention one of my favorite historians of French Revolution, Pierre Gaxot, and as I said, many others. And on the heritage left by these people, current French political opponents of leftism are working on. These are their bases and they develop it further. There was also in 60s, 70s and 80s such movement like New Right, and the main representative of this movement is the guy who is still alive, Mr. Alain de Benoit, and his friends' intellectual heritage is also fueling French conservatists and French right activists, giving them some power and ways to fight for their homelands. But in contrast to France, we do not see such intellectual heritage from which British conservatives and patriots could take something and develop something further to save their heritage. Of course, the guy who died a few years ago, Roger Scruton, and his great books on conservatism and so on, this is nice to read and take some ideas from it, but it has no comparison with the huge and versatile intellectual heritage of Action Française or New Right, on which French opponents of leftist movements are based on. This is, in my opinion, one of the reasons why now British intellectuals and British patriots cannot oppose the rapid degradation of British society, which we are observing now. Let's see how it will develop, but we are living in interesting times. All the best, have a nice day, bye.